Great to have you back. Today's a little bit of a rant. Just made a video with Josh on suck less. It was actually something that annoyed me, honestly, when he came in as our new social media and our producer on our videos and of this podcast. He didn't quite get it. I'm trying to get it through his head. What suck less means, right? Be a little bit better as a human being. What can you do? What are you out there doing today? I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm always looking for something. Obviously, we can't do too much. Sometimes you're like, there's always something else to do or try. Method, like Bill Anderson's been doing, what's it called? Dousing or something. And cold, first thing in the morning, dumping 5 gallons of ice cold water over your chest, face, and then over your neck. Gonna give it a try because I told him I would, but it kind of really sounds like it sucks. And getting up at 5 a.m. or 4:45 to get in and either do some training or to teach a class that I'm scheduled for is hard, right? That took a huge lifestyle adjustment for me when I started teaching at 5:30 in the morning. So what can you do to suck less? I'm really here to talk about. It's not a negative thing. Too many people just get so in their own head about these negative terms, and God, it just out there in society, it just seems terrible. People taking things and words just so wrong, or just adding their own definition to them. Maybe that's what I've done with suck less, but I think it's something you can all suck a little bit less, get a little bit better in your day. We're all dying the moment we're born, so what do you choose to do? Live life to the fullest every day, try to do something, try to read a book, whatever it may be. I'd love to hear from you. What do you guys do? You got people off track. You're off track, so what? I'm off track on my ab workout. I'm a little pissed off at myself that I've let things get in the way and come up and not find that 5 to 10 minutes a day that I promised myself, 5, 7, 6 days a week. Sorry, I take one day off on that you get off track a little bit. So what? You get off track. That's life. It's about getting back on the path of fitness, your martial art, whatever it may be. I'm all about finding your fit, find your passion, get out there and do something. The world will be a better place if more people were working out. Definitely, in my opinion, you can see there's tons of scientific research on that, and depression, absolutely kind of fantastic. So what can you do, right? Bill gave me that one. The dowsing comes from, I believe, Russia or Stema. I might be wrong on that. Feel free to comment if I'm wrong, Bill, or anybody else out there on that one. But we'd love to get a little bit better here. It seems to be a big excuse when people get off track in life. Somebody I was trying to get in, they were doing pretty good for a month or two, and then, work's so busy. Just come to the conclusion that life's going to be busy. Something's going to get in the way, and you got to prioritize your training, whatever that may be. You just got to make a priority because you're going to be a better human being for it. So get a little bit better at just blocking off your calendar. That's one thing I try to do, and just say, I'm busy, I can't do that, I'm working out now. So what can you do in your own life? That's one example. Block it off. Tell your family you're going to be a better person if you get out there and work out. Hey, I know it's an hour away from the family, but I'm going to come back a better person. Versus what I see a lot of times is people are depressed. They don't even sometimes know that they're unhappy because they're just in this rut of life and the grind. Maybe eating bad, that definitely affects you, and it's slowly and surely. You don't know how your body's starting to feel. The body adapts to eating like crap, and when you start eating better and then you eat that crap, you feel so horrible, right? You can be sick to your stomach and have diarrhea because you're eating that crap, but your body adjusts to it. And so many people are out there adjusted to eating a bad diet, and they don't even know how bad they feel because their body's adapted. The humans are incredibly adaptive. So, get out there, try to eat a little bit better. Yeah, no kidding, it's hard. No kidding. I'm always saying, I might get hit by a bus. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy, the weekend or just a little bit, live life. But if you're constantly eating crap. There's just so much sugar alone out there that just ruins you. Suck a little less by going, hey, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to be a little bit better of a human being. Like, suck less. Like, it is, as I told Josh, I'm like, it's not negative. Like, I know where you're coming from the social media, and, oh, people, it's a negative thing that you're putting out there. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of like-minded people like myself that are trying to do that. And if you want to be better, you've just got to retrain your brain to suck a little less. Tell yourself, like, I'm standing there, I'm about to put this crap in there, and yeah, I suck by putting this in there. Maybe that little negative thing will help you, because whatever you're doing now and putting that garbage into your system isn't getting you anywhere. It's gaining you weight. I was listening to David Goggins, incredibly motivated individual, that sometimes he stares at his running sneakers for like 30 minutes before he puts them on to get out there and do his run. Yes, sometimes it sucks, but you're better. You're better for it. My workout today, back squats and deadlifts, those are hard things to do. They're not an easy thing to do, but you feel great, that feeling your body gets. We're not designed to sit and just be mush like so many people are. And yeah, it's going to hurt when you work out. I'm going to tell you, yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to be hard, but you're going to be better for it. And workouts are always hard. But so's dying early. So's not seeing your grandkids. Living longer. That's a huge thing in what I'm trying to do. I want to live longer. I want to live life to its fullest. If I can work out now and put in those hours, the research says you're going to live longer. So do that. Or, plug along and, be overweight and be comfortable, eat crap and be happy, and, get that quick sugar high, or whatever it may be, or, sit in front of the TV or the video game, or scroll on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to stop on us. That does help us out. Don't scroll past us. If you are on there, take 30 seconds, take a minute, watch our video. That really helps out our analytics a whole ton. Just swiping by us kind of says to the algorithm that that place sucks. Don't show it to anybody else. That guy just flipped by it. Take 30 seconds. That will really help us out as a channel and allow us to do the things that we love, of helping people out, of helping people suck a little bit less. It comes from my old manager, Pam, was being kind of hard, and that is very typical, first degree black belts, and especially in your 20s, of being harder on somebody that was much older, getting, I think it was a red or brown belt, I can't remember. And I said, listen, everybody's on their own path here. It's an individual journey. There is definitely a standard, and I always say each individual has their own standard, because yes, some people aren't so gifted. Sometimes I like the elite athlete, the really good athlete. Is just a shitty coach. We're trying to get people better. If you discourage somebody that just isn't as physically as gifted as you, they're not keeping their family safe, and that's where it came from. I actually told her to give me her black belt back, and she's like, what? I'm like, give me your black belt back, because you don't fit my standard. My standard is much higher than what you had, and I spent more training and had more knowledge in the martial arts when I got my black belt. So if you want to do personal standards here, I'll take your black belt back. And of course, she didn't want to give up her hard-earned black belt, but I said, I'm like, you're not fitting my standard, so should I have held you to my standard? And then that doesn't sound great to people. Like, wait, what are you talking about? I'm like, so stop holding somebody that's not as gifted as you to your standard, because if we can make everybody just a little bit better, that's what we're trying to do here at my gym, and any other good gym. I know tons of fantastic instructors out there. That's what they're trying to do. Help their community. Help that one individual be safer. If their family, God forbid, something happens to them, that individual is training and they get a little bit better, so they suck a little less to help their family, right? You can't be there. I can't tell students, I can't be there for you. You've got to train. You've got to do it. You've got to put in the work and the time and the hours to train your skills, to protect to protect yourself, protect your family. That's our mission. As a good coach, we want to help people along. So yeah, is there a standard of black belt? Absolutely, but I look at each individual and how far they have progressed. And yeah, I'm pretty darn hard on getting that black belt. They might progress up to blue, brown. We have red belt here at my Krav Maga gym because I really like the significance of it in martial arts, and Krav Maga didn't have it. And I added that. Red belt signifies danger in the martial arts. They've got all the skill of a black belt, but lack the control is the big one. So I added that in there because originally we were looking just to space out the testing. I felt there was a big gap between, I think it was blue and brown. So I thought keeping people more on track and having a more obtainable goal. So we added another belt just to get people to refocus on a shorter time frame, which I found really helped a lot of people. I used to see a lot of attendance spike as as a brown belt test came up, or a blue belt test. They had some bigger gaps, and all of a sudden 2 months before, the month before, attendance would spike. So we kind of changed that and added in our gym that they had to have attendance and time in the belt. So they had to have, I believe it's like either 44, it might be 96 classes that they need to attend, because we used to just have, I think it was a year and a half between those belts. And feel free to comment if you're a Krav Maga Worldwide, Krav Maga Alliance on that in the comments. I forget what the old requirement was between those belts, or it still is. I call it the old because that's how we do it here. That you've been a member for a year and a half, but you attended 30 classes. Well, so sorry, you need 96 classes to make that. So I really are getting people in here, but I just don't give away black belts. I don't think that's a belt that anybody should earn, but there's certainly been some fantastic individuals that come through that are just older, that have really good skill. Can they fight like the 30 or even 40-year-old? No, but I just tell those 30 or 40-year-olds, man, wait till you're 60. Bad enough here at 50. I've seen my fight vision slow down, your reaction speed slows down, so nothing's the same. So it's a different standard for a 30-year-old, in my opinion, that they should be held to. So that's where Suck Less came from originally. Was our mission here is to get people a little bit better. You can't be so hard on them that they quit and now they're not keeping their families safe. And that's our mission, to keep people safer here at Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness. And our I guess you'd call it my co-brand is my side project, ClearSky.Training. That's an online training portal that we're developing for our students and anybody else there wishing to train with us, that they can get on. And we're going to be constantly improving that. But again, there's never enough time in the day. I could certainly prioritize that over my workouts, but I'm not going to do that as much as sometimes I'd really like to develop that site more and film more videos. But slow and steady wins the race, and I'm not going to sacrifice what I want to do, or even I try to make more time for my family, because that's something. I only have a year and a half left, and my daughter's off to college, so time flies by. I've spent a lot of time in the gym improving, so it's something now that's on my calendar for the last bunch of years that nope, I'm not teaching those classes. I'm spending time at home, being there for my family, and that's a tough thing for a lot of gym owners. We sacrifice a whole ton because we're generally at our gym at the supper time. That's when the bulk of martial arts fitness students generally come in. And for that matter, I'm here at 5 a.m. in the morning getting ready for a 5:30 a.m. class. So we spend a lot of time here as gym owners. So I'd really like to improve that site, but I think that's just not a big priority. It will be here in the future. We're wrapping up a couple other projects here currently and trying to work on this podcast and grow this podcast. I think a voice in the martial arts might be out there needed. I hope. If you think so, share this with a friend. Suggest somebody I could get on there. If you got a martial arts or fitness coach that you think would be worth talking to. I'd love to talk to them and find out about their path and what they're doing to help people be better in their lives. Or, Josh, they can suck a little bit less. Like, how do we get people to suck less? Because I did have a really good rant this morning that had a lot more swearing. I really try not to swear in my coaching, but sometimes I just get a little passionate, and it's generally just an eye-opener, I think, when I do drop an F-bomb to get people to wake up and using it as a big exclamation point in context of a class. So, what are you doing? Get a little bit better. Let me know if you got somebody you want me to talk to. We've got some great guests coming up. John Whitman is on the schedule. We've got some other great coaches out there that are coming up. Todd from Rev Gear is going to be on soon. So, if you guys are listening, hit that calendar link if you haven't already. A bunch of you guys have that I've reached out to. But if you've got a coach that you'd like to have on the show, you think you want to hear more from one of the coaches here at Rocky Mountain, let me know who you'd like to hear from. Bill was kind of super easy to have on the podcast because he's here at, that early AM hour before when the gym is quiet and there's nobody on there, nobody's on the training floor. So we hit that podcast, I think, at 7 a.m. And he had a coffee and I didn't. So that's one thing I try to work on, is something that 5 a.m. class helped me with. And it was something Huberman on the Huberman Lab podcast talked about. If you want the best bang for your buck on caffeine, is to wait. I think he had like an hour and a half or 2 hours there to wait from waking, so you get your natural dopamine coming up in that natural wake-up response. And if you can wait 2 hours to your coffee, you're going to get better bang for your buck. So on that day, I was pushing that caffeine intake on that day. So Bill was definitely probably more peppy because he had a coffee there. It was unfair. So should have ran down to the Starbucks down the street before, but we would just bang that out because he was taking time out of his super busy day to record that podcast, which I thought was a great one. So if you haven't heard Bill talk, he's one of our coaches. He's a pastor. He's an incredible human being. He's a great guy, and somebody that's definitely does something every day to suck less. Just do it. Put it on your calendar. And sometimes we can do too much. Like Bill, I always tell him sometimes, like, you're a super motivated guy. You're probably doing too much sometimes. Take a break. Don't kill yourself. But there's so many people that just aren't getting off the couch. Are you one of them? Come on in. Try my class. Ping me. You're in some area in the country. You want to know a good place to train? I'll look it up for you. Or chances are I know at least a good Krav Maga school in your area, hopefully. And we can hook you up and get you into a class, because doing that is always hard. It's intimidating. My gosh, when I went to instructor training, man, I was so nervous, getting in there. And I had a buddy with me, Jack Marshall, that, traveled with me, and going to that first thing, that was super intimidating. That was a real big first thing I ever did as a martial artist, was going to that Krav Maga instructor training. And I want to say there was probably in the mid-20s, 24, 25 instructors from all sorts of disciplines. I was really intimidated to be on that floor with all these other people that owned, and at the time I was on Little Nantucket Island, and I probably had 20 or 30 students, and you're in there, some of these people have 1,000 students. It was super intimidating and nerve-wracking, but it's led me here. It's been a great journey. I kind of chickened out, and I'm good, safe here, doing my existing Taekwondo and Hapkido stuff. I'm safe here. I took the leap. It's always a big one. It's always hard. It's always intimidating in there, and to do something new. And it's led me down a great path. It was definitely scary, and they made it quite clear with Krav Maga Worldwide that you can fail this course. We're not just passing people like a ton of martial arts out there. Systems, are passing people along. These certifications are kind of a joke, and our current organization, Krav Maga Alliance, to get an Alliance black belt, you've got to do some sort of MMA, some sort of competition to get your black belt, that you're not just training in your own school. I think it's a great thing John Whitman has added, especially as his organization has grown, you can't personally fight. You don't know everybody's character as an organization grows. I think it's been a great thing that pushes those black belts to get out and test themselves against a different discipline. That's not always easy. I know a lot of Krav Maga people like, I'm going to do an MMA or a Thai boxing tournament, let's just say, and I'm afraid I'm going to kick somebody in the groin. Or if I'm doing a BJJ tournament, I don't want to do a hammer fist to the groin, let's say. That can be quite hard to switch your training. But it is pushing people outside of the envelope. I think it's a great thing that John's doing. He's a fantastic coach. He's a very humble guy, very talented, fantastic instructor. That's something he does, because there's a lot of Krav Maga organizations that you can really just get it. It's an unfortunate thing with the loss of the trademark that I tell people you've got to check it out just like anything else. But unfortunately, you do have some bad Krav Maga out there. I was watching a video and actually had commented on it, which I don't do a lot. I think it was that Andrew Tate guy who's evidently pretty famous. I didn't know who the guy was, but then my buddy Joel, one of our new assistant instructors here, been with us a bit, told me about it. I'm like, wait, that sounds familiar. Hold on a second, let me look. I'm like, yeah, I commented on that video, and he was saying how people coming in from Krav Maga are getting knocked out because they don't fight. And I'm like, I'm not sure what what Krav Maga people you were fighting, but every Krav Maga gym I know through Krav Maga Worldwide and Krav Maga Alliance fight, and they fight hard. Those instructors really, they're getting up into that. Even green belt was extremely hard instructor test. Blue belt harder, brown belt harder. You've got somebody in your gym or a coach that's gotten that far in either one of those organizations, because that's what I've trained with personally. Those guys fight hard. They are not easy systems to go through, and they're testing. So I'm like, I'm not sure, or is it just some BS thing that this guy's putting out there to get watches on YouTube, which, whatever, you want to get people watching you badmouth and something, then F you. If you need to badmouth a system, break it down and show a fault of a technique and something you do better, that's a quality video in my opinion, than say, hey, I think this technique sucks, but I'm not sure who he's sparring that did Krav Maga, or it's something I've heard in BJJ circles. It's Krav Maga people get their ass kicked, and I'm like, did they hammer fist you? Yeah. Did they kick you in the groin? Did they grab your balls, buddy? Did they gouge you in the eyes? That's Krav Maga. We're about getting home safe. No, I bet they had good etiquette, because that's what I find as a giant hole of people that come into Krav Maga have really good etiquette, and they're playing by your rules. They're not being an asshole out there and just coming into a BJJ class and then hammer fisting somebody in the face when that's not something that was allowed in that tournament. So it's just different, man. BJJ is fantastic. I love it. It's a great system. We borrow from it in Krav Maga. We add more to our existing ground because more people are probably doing BJJ than karate and taekwondo. Haven't seen those numbers, but we definitely are a changing system to what is out there more, what our students are more apt to face, some person with some training. So that's why Krav Maga is an open system. We always want to know what's out there and what's better. So, because we don't want to suck, Josh, we're just trying to suck a little less here in Krav Maga. So, you almost didn't get hired because of that. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe a little bit. That Josh is actually fantastic. He's helped my growth of sucking less. You look back at some of our videos, and that was even where videos with Pam and I way back, they sucked. I mean, they were just too uptight and just trying to be too formal. And even our students were like, that's not even like you guys. You guys are goofy. But being in front of the camera sucks. It's never, I hate being in front of the camera. So, and I know Pam did. And, Jamie hates being in front of the camera. It's nothing really want to do, but I guess it's the way of the world these days. I wish I could go back to the newspaper and posting a flyer up on the hub bulletin board on Nantucket Island. God, I go back to those days where Master Miller would put his Taekwondo flyer over mine. Speaking of, like, just find another. That was something I always tried to. I'm like, just find another spot. I probably did it once or twice, but then went, you know what? That's just stupid. You know, be a better person. Find another spot to put your flyer. But gosh, I wish for those days, because it was so much easier than what's out here now, and people are so distracted, and you're wasting time on social media, especially if you're just sitting around. You know, it's one thing I love about podcasts. I can do them when I'm driving, cleaning. There's just so much. You know, even just if I'm doing a weightlifting workout, I'll listen to a Huberman Lab podcast, try to get a little bit smarter. And learn just a ton from that guy. And if you want the numbers, he's definitely a numbers guy. I'm just like, get to the point. I want to know, okay, don't drink caffeine. Within 2 hours of waking, I'm going to get a better bang for my buck. He's got all the science behind it. Definitely super interested. So I will listen to those podcasts. I just want that thing that I can take away and I can give people. If you want the data, I'm definitely not a data guy. I forget stuff all the time. His podcast is fantastic. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend you listen to a Huberman Lab podcast. They're fantastic. So what are you doing out there to suck less? Who do you want to see on the podcast next? That would be fantastic. I'd love to hear from you guys. We're on so many social platforms. You can hit us out there. But if you want to send me an email, john@rmsdf is my main email, rmsdf.com. You can hit me up with somebody that you'd want to see on the show. If you want to be on the show, if you're a martial artist out there and want to share your thoughts, martial arts coach especially is what we try to interview here, our instructors. You have an instructor, let me know. I'd love to get them on the podcast. We're always looking for guests, and we're looking for sponsors. I believe Rev Gear Sports is going to be our first sponsor, since my wife thinks it's funny that I sponsor my own podcast. But hey, don't have any podcasts, and we're really out there trying to get the message out there to our ClearSky.Training site, where you can train with us online and watch those detailed videos versus our YouTube shorts, where we get a little bit more in depth. And we want to keep growing that channel for everybody out there, so there's a good online portal for people to get quality Krav Maga training. We're looking at maybe even doing some, I know there's some people that can't train in Krav Maga because it's not. I can think of a student I'm thinking of now, Evan Bennett. He's up in Minnesota somewhere. I talked to him, I think it was a summer or two ago. He was back in Castle Rock visiting his parents, and he's like, I'm doing Muay Thai because there's no Krav Maga. I'm like, that's fantastic. You're doing something. That's always what I want to hear out of my kids' program when they come back, that they just have developed a lifelong love of health and fitness and martial arts of whatever nature, that they're doing something that's fantastic. But can you train online with me and maybe come in for a quarterly or every 6-month belt exam for people that are out there in the country looking to train because they're just too far away. It's too hard for them. It's an hour drive each way, whatever it may be, to a quality Krav Maga gym. So I know that can be tough. Even here in Denver, I had an old student, Brad, that used to drive down from Aurora, pass a Krav Maga gym or two, or there was another one, if you drove north here in Colorado, there was a little closer that he decided to train with me because he felt the stuff that we put out was quality and seemed like really good Krav Maga, and that was that made my day. He trained with us for a good couple years. Another guy, he was in his 60s, had some great stories. God, I'd love to have Brad on. He definitely is a character, but he had some great stories, being a First Amendment lawyer. One that when he was very young, that they were representing Larry Flint. If I ever have him on the show, I'll have him tell the story because he does a much better job at it. So, but he drove down a long way. Not a lot of people make that sacrifice. I can think a number of people that have, Big Greg drove from Kiowa to Castle Rock to train with me. That means a lot. But sometimes we live in a place that we can't train. So that was one of the ideas behind ClearSky.Training, to offer it out there to people, and whether they send in a video or better yet, we have our online members come in and do a physical test in person once a year, whatever it may be for those individuals. So if you are a martial artist out there, instructor, fitness coach, CrossFit, that's one I'm trying to push my Canadian friend Troy to be on there. He texted me back, what the F are we going to talk about? And I'm like, God, every time we get on the phone, we talk for a good 20 or 30 minutes unless one of us has a private lesson or a class coming up. So I'm like, I'm sure we could talk about a ton, Troy. We always do in the industry or just about life in general. So I'd love to hear from him. He's been a huge mentor of mine for, gosh, I was trying to figure it out. It's definitely been over 10 years, probably been over 16 years, because I believe I met him before I moved to Colorado. So he's a great guy up there in Vancouver. He's got a Krav Maga and a CrossFit gym. Is a CrossFit Masters athlete from the CrossFit Games there a couple years ago. He was quite heavy into competing, so he's a great guy, well-rounded between fitness and martial arts, and he's mentored me a ton. If you actually, where we ran into some problems years ago with the name, we were originally Rocky Mountain Krav Maga, and Troy said, you should be more generic than that. What if you don't want to do Krav Maga in 5 years? Now you're tied to that name. And of course, I was very passionate about Krav Maga. I was like, F you, Troy. I'm doing Krav Maga forever, which I still do hope, but you never know. And when we actually were approved, when we were a CrossFit affiliate, they actually approved us as Rocky Mountain Krav Maga and CrossFit. And then they decided to take it away a few months later, and we had to change our name back. And when I did, I listened to Troy that time, and we went to Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness. Our Krav Maga affiliate name is still Rocky Mountain Krav Maga, like under Krav Maga Alliance, and we do have a Google page, which I think sometimes kind of helps out our analytics there, that we have the two brands, but sometimes that's really difficult to advertise two brands. It was really difficult to advertise, and it's still difficult to advertise sometimes our Krav Maga and our Project Fit program, because people sometimes only see what they want to see, and they don't see our fitness side, which always surprises me, because it's great training. I just talked to somebody coming in to get some raffle things. They were doing a charity event, and they needed some prizes to raffle off, and I can't do CrossFit. I'm like, oh, hey, we don't do CrossFit anymore, because she told me she's too old, and I'm like, well, we're the same age, we're both 50, you can do our Project Fit class. We we're trying to do CrossFit and brand it ourselves, like our brand of CrossFit, because I do think there's fantastic things with CrossFit, but sometimes the brand gets a negative whatever you want to call it, I'm blanking. So she said she can't do CrossFit. I said, well, you can do Project Fit. It's a different name. So you can do it. We're all about going slow and steady here, and living a strong, healthy life. There's no sense hurting yourself. When you do competitions, people don't understand, pro athletes get hurt because you're trying to max yourself out at 100%. Most of our athletes weren't into competing here, so we kind of went off on our own and did Project Fit. It's our brand of fitness. I call it strength and conditioning for health and longevity. I want to be strong and healthy, because the stronger you are, the longer you're going to live. So that's a great class here at Rocky Mountain if you want to check that out. And there's tons of great programs out there. It's suck a little less. Go take a shitty martial arts or fitness class. Get into some there's tons of stuff out there. You name it. I travel around. There's tons of different brands and people doing their thing. Get out there and do a class if you're out there. Stop procrastinating and saying I can't. You can. You just need to walk in the door and try to do something. Make yourself a little bit better every day. Suck a little bit less. For goodness sakes, suck a little less. You're going to live longer. You're going to be a better human being for it. Stop being negative. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. I tell people, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I quit every time. Yeah, you effing quit it. You look at it, you just say, I can't do it. I quit every time. Get out of your own head. Just shut shut up. Tell that voice to shut up. I tell kids all the time, they're like, oh, Coach John, you said shut up. I'm like, I know, but it's okay because I'm talking to myself. I'm telling that little voice in my head to shut up, that I don't need a donut. Shut up. You can keep working out. Shut up. You don't need to do this. You need to do your workout. Tell that voice in your head to shut up. Like, oh, I'm going to quit. Shut up. Tell that voice in your head to shut up. You got to take control of it. I'm thinking of somebody, God, I really wish I could have helped him out. But that's how he started. Oh, I quit every time. I get my, and then I'm busy and work. You got to just tell yourself to shut up. That little devil voice in your head, the one telling you to quit. Eat donuts, Donuts are good. No, it's sugar-coated lies, as Jocko Willink puts it. I think that's my favorite thing that he says. Sugar-coated lies. Those donuts or anything else, that other glass of wine, it's, another Huberman. I told a ton of people to watch the one on drinking. Red wine's good for me. And it's kind of laughable of how much red wine you actually have to get the benefit of, the tannins in red wine. I don't know. Listen to the episode. Again, he's the data guy. But it's ridiculous. And of course the red wine, drink red wine, it's good for you. Oh, and you hear that marketing, but you don't hear the marketing of get in shape, you're going to be better. It's just crazy. I think marketing, definitely something I've learned a lot over the years of owning a gym and that type of thing. But gosh, get that voice out of your head and stop listening to that. So much of that marketing out there is just a load of crap to get you to buy something, believe in something, weight loss pills and all that other BS out there. It's a load of freaking crap. Tell your voice to shut up. You don't need a pill. You need to get in and pick up a dumbbell and a barbell and go out for a jog or a bike ride, or put some water bottles in a backpack and go for a long hike. Do something. Get out there in nature. Suck a little less. Gosh, it's just crazy. The world's a crazy place. Marketing's crazy. Stop listening to that crap and tell yourself to shut up. And I think, right here, I'm going to tell myself to shut up because sometimes I just get on a tangent, or as Josh says, I repeat myself, and it's something I'm working on because I suck at it. But God darn, as a coach, you just got to say things over and over again to get through to people. So stop sucking less. Tell that voice in your head to shut up, that you don't have the time. Shut the F up. Listen to David Goggins. Gosh, he calls himself all sorts of names, but it's all in motivation. It's all to try to, when I'm negative, it's not negative. I've heard people like, oh, you're negative. I'm just putting myself on fire by, going, man, this is going to suck. This workout's going to suck. And people, oh, shut up, it's making it bad. I don't even know what instructor that was. It's some instructor training. It's the suck. I love the suck. Yeah, it's going to suck. It's motivating for me, man. Oh, God. The suck of a Krav Maga instructor training. It's fantastic. It sucks. But you're a better human being after it. And it motivates me. I'm going to do this. It's going to suck. I'm going to do this workout. It's going to suck. It's going to make you a better person versus, oh, I did this workout. Gosh, I didn't even break a sweat. Tell that voice in your head to shut up. Go out there and do something hard. Suck a little bit less. Hey, thanks again for tuning in. This is John Hallett with the John Hallett Podcast. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. Hopefully you're driving or vacuuming or out for a jog, doing whatever when you're listening to my podcast. I appreciate it a ton. Thanks a lot.